If this video has reached you before December 19th, pause for a moment, take a breath, because this is not random, and you already know that. Something inside you clicked the moment you read the title, even if your logical mind tried to brush it off. That feeling is important. December 19th is not just another date on the calendar. It is a threshold, a quiet one, a subtle one, but one that carries far more weight than people realize. The new moon, arriving on December 19th, opens a reset point that doesn't feel loud or dramatic. It feels internal. It feels like exhaustion without a clear reason, like detachment from things that once mattered deeply, like your mind slowing down while your awareness sharpens. This new moon doesn't ask you to manifest wildly or chase something new. It asks you to empty yourself, because nothing new can arrive where something old refuses to leave. And what makes this moment different is that the solstice energy has already begun to bleed into this new moon. Even though the solstice peaks on December 21st, its influence does not wait for the date. It starts earlier, much earlier. Right now, the darkest point of the year is already approaching energetically. And darkness, contrary to what we've been taught, is not something to fear. Darkness is where truth becomes impossible to hide. You may notice that conversations feel heavier, that old memories surface out of nowhere, that you feel drawn to silence more than noise, that people who once felt aligned suddenly feel distant, while solitude feels strangely comforting. This is not depression. This is not laziness. This is not you falling behind. This is your system preparing for a shift that cannot happen while you are still carrying old identities. The new moon on December 19th works like a closing door disguised as an opening, and the solstice works like a turning point disguised as stillness. Together, they form what many call a portal, not because something magical opens in the sky, but because your internal perception is changing. You are beginning to see what no longer belongs in your next chapter. If you've felt like you're standing between who you were and who you can't fully see yet, this is why. This moment is not about becoming, it's about dissolving. And dissolving always feels uncomfortable to the ego, because the ego survives on familiarity. But your soul survives on truth. And that truth is this: something you've been holding on to is quietly ending, not because it failed, but because it has completed its role in your life. As December 19th approaches, you may notice your thoughts looping around the same themes. Old regrets, old dreams, old versions of yourself asking for closure. This isn't punishment. This is review. Before the year fully closes, before the light begins to return after the solstice, your awareness is being asked one simple question. What are you still carrying that no longer matches who you are becoming? The new moon. Energy strips things down. It doesn't add. It subtracts. It pulls your attention inward, away from external validation, away from noise, away from the need to explain yourself. That's why you might feel less interested in talking, posting, proving, or planning. Silence becomes medicine during this phase. And here's what many people miss about the solstice energy. The solstice doesn't just mark the shortest day. It marks the moment when the light stops decreasing and begins its slow return. But before the light can return, you must sit in the darkest point without distraction. That's what this double portal energy is asking of you. You may feel called to be alone, to cancel plans, to disconnect from people who drain you, to stop forcing conversations that feel empty. This is not isolation. This is alignment. The system inside you is recalibrating, and recalibration always requires stillness. Many people will resist this energy. They'll distract themselves, overwork, overstimulate, overthink. But if you are watching this, chances are you're not meant to bypass it. You're meant to feel it fully. Because on the other side of this stillness is clarity. Not loud clarity, not dramatic clarity, quiet clarity, the kind that doesn't need approval. This is why December 19th feels different than other new moons. It doesn't promise instant manifestation. It promises truth. And truth changes everything, even when it doesn't change anything on the surface yet. Pay attention to what falls away naturally during this time, what stops calling your name, what you no longer have the energy to pretend about, what no longer excites you, even if it once defined you. That's not loss, that's release, and release is the doorway, always. By the time the solstice arrives, you may not feel like a new person, and that's okay. This shift isn't meant to be obvious yet. It works underground, like roots forming before a tree breaks the surface. You are not meant to see the full picture now. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you. You are meant to trust what feels lighter, even if it feels uncertain. After December 19th, you may notice something subtle but powerful. Your reactions change. Your tolerance for misalignment drops. Your desire to explain yourself fades. You stop chasing clarity and start embodying it. This is the true awakening point. Not fireworks, not dramatic signs, just a quiet knowing that you cannot go back to who you were. This portal doesn't open outward, it opens inward. And once it opens, you cannot unsee what you've seen about yourself. That's why this message needed to reach you before December 19th, because awareness is the key that unlocks the door. And once you're aware, the shift moves faster. If this message resonates, it's because you're already inside the transition. You didn't miss anything. You're right on time. Let yourself rest. Let yourself be undefined for a moment. Let the old self fade without guilt. The light will return. It always does. But it returns differently when you've allowed yourself to sit in the dark, honestly. And when you look back on this moment weeks from now, you'll realize something quietly changed here. Not your world. You. After December 19th, something subtle begins to shift in how time feels. Days may blur together, or moments may feel stretched, as if reality itself has slowed down to let you catch up to yourself. This is not confusion. This is integration. When deep internal changes occur, the outer world often feels slightly out of sync because you are no longer operating from the same internal rhythm. You may notice that you are no longer reacting instantly to things that once triggered you. There's a pause now, a space, and in that space, you choose differently. This is one of the earliest signs that the portal energy has done its work. You're no longer being pulled unconsciously. You're responding consciously. People around you may sense this before you do. They might say you seem distant, calmer, quieter, or harder to read. That's because you are no longer leaking energy trying to be understood. You are becoming contained, grounded, sovereign in your own presence. This is not detachment from life. It is attachment to truth. The new moon planted the seed. The solstice sealed it. And now the seed rests in darkness, unseen, unacknowledged, but very much alive. During this phase, you may feel an unusual pull toward memories you thought you had outgrown. Childhood moments, old relationships, forgotten dreams. Not to relive them, but to reclaim something essential you left behind. The portal doesn't just remove what no longer serves you, it returns what was lost before you were ready to hold it. This is why emotions may surface without a clear cause. Tears without sadness, smiles without reason, a deep sense of nostalgia mixed with peace. This is your timeline reorganizing itself, past, present, and future, aligning into a version of you that feels more whole. You are not going backwards. You are integrating. And integration is one of the most misunderstood stages of awakening. It doesn't look powerful. It feels human, soft, vulnerable, real. If you allow this phase without judgment, you'll notice something powerful. You stop seeking answers outside. The urge to constantly watch, read, search, or ask begins to fade. Not because curiosity dies, but because inner authority awakens. There is also a deeper layer to this portal that few talk about. December portals are not about expansion in the external sense. They are about contraction, pulling energy inward, gathering fragments of self, closing loops that have been open for years, sometimes lifetimes. You may suddenly realize that certain struggles you identified with are no longer relevant. Certain fears no longer have teeth. Certain ambitions no longer excite you. This can feel disorienting, especially if those things once defined you. But this is a natural death process, and every true rebirth requires one. This is why rushing this phase feels wrong. Your system knows better. It knows this moment is not for action, it is for alignment. Action will come later, from a place of clarity rather than urgency. And when you do act again, it will feel effortless. Not because life becomes easy, but because resistance dissolves. As days pass after the solstice, pay attention to what your intuition whispers when your mind is quiet. Not loud messages, not dramatic downloads, simple truths, gentle nudges, subtle no's and undeniable yeses. You may feel drawn to simplify your life. Fewer conversations, fewer commitments, fewer explanations. This is not withdrawal. This is refinement. Your energy is learning discernment. And discernment is a form of wisdom that can't be taught. It's earned through lived experience. This is also when boundaries naturally strengthen. Not aggressive boundaries, calm ones. You stop overextending, stop tolerating, stop abandoning yourself for comfort. And the most surprising part is this: people who are meant to stay won't be offended. They'll adapt. Those who leave were never aligned with who you are becoming. There may be moments where you wonder if you're doing enough, if you're wasting time, if you should be more productive, more motivated, more visible. These thoughts don't come from truth. They come from an old system that equated worth with output. This portal is teaching you something radical. Your value does not increase by force. It deepens through presence, and presence cannot be rushed. The new moon opened the door. The solstice turned the wheel. But you are the one choosing to walk forward without dragging the past behind you. That choice, even if unconscious, changes the trajectory of your life. Nothing needs to explode for transformation to be real. Sometimes the most powerful shifts happen in silence. As you move closer to the end of the year, you may feel less inclined to make big resolutions or dramatic promises. That's because this shift is not about becoming someone else next year. It's about finally being who you already are. You are shedding the pressure to perform your healing, to prove your growth, to explain your journey. The need for external validation dissolves when internal alignment is restored. This is when you realize something profound. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the absence of inner conflict. And this portal has helped you resolve conflicts you didn't even know you were carrying. You are no longer fighting yourself. And that changes everything. If this video reached you at the right time, it's because you were meant to slow down, not speed up. To trust the pause, to trust the quiet, to trust that what's forming inside you doesn't need immediate proof to be real. December 19th was not the moment everything changed outwardly. It was the moment everything aligned inwardly, and alignment always precedes visible change. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be for the next chapter to unfold naturally. If this resonated, let it sit with you. You don't need to do anything with it. Awareness is enough, and if you feel called to share what this phase feels like for you, know you're not alone. Many are walking through this threshold quietly, together. Something has shifted, and you felt it for a reason.